ピールトレーラーをこれから流させていただきます。
And now we have what you've all been waiting for.
Thank you.
The
They know.
announcement
They're
of
not
the final
stupid.
team for
They
the
know what we
upcoming
want.
release.
Let's see it. Look how hot the crowd is, bro. Let's see it.
Allow me to introduce your glorious
Allow me.
champions. The Fighting Avengers. The Unbreakable X-Men. The Amazing Guardians.
They got all the teams posted
the
up.
Knights of Doom.
And
Stay out of my face, lady.
Let's see it.
With the Ghost Rider,
Let's
you'll
see it.
end up
As a ghost.
Hey, Vamp, how about some help here?
Let's fucking go. Say Jam, you're cooked. Say Jam, you're cooked, bro. You're cooked, Say Jam. You're cooked, Say Jam. Ooh.
But I am also a ghost.
Loki, wait, what the? Loki.
I saved Asgard.
We get
more times
Loki?
than I have regretted it. Honestly. No, really.
Thor plays his shit, but you got Loki before Thor?
You dislike my
Who's the last character?
beast. You will not
Who's the last
survive
character?
My Ragnarok. Whoa! Great
Deadpool. Oh my god, it's Deadpool. Oh. The MGC's favorite. Yo, where's Say Jam? You're done. You're done, buddy. You're done, buddy. Oh shit, let's go. What the fuck is that?
Wait. There's
We're not
something
done?
else we should do. I remember. Enter the Midnight Samurai Outriders.
It's not Midnight Suns.
Now, T-E-A-M.
It's not Midnight Suns. Let's see the Teemo.
One does not cross a frost strike. Everyone, get ready. You're gonna feel this. Rest in peace. All attack. The power of Tōkon. Hell is coming for you.
Whoa. That was cinema. That was cinema. Yes! 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 Open! Let's fucking buy PC! Yo! We're eating. It's PC too. We're eating. It's PC too. It's PC. It's PC. Let's fucking go, bro. It's PC. It's PC. Nah, the blade cut in and then it cut out the close to being open. Nah, that's hard.
Listen to me.
That shit was hard.
Never rage quit.
Never rage quit. Are they gonna show DLC now or what? No, I'm joking. They're probably gonna show DLC at Comic-Con.
はい、というわけで、最後のチーム、サムライアウトライダーズのチームトレーラーいかがだったでしょうか？
Damn.
so what did you think about the game trailer for the
Yes, we're
final
getting a
team, the
both.
Samurai
We're getting an open beta
Outriders?
as well, bro. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking
は
go.
い、今回新たに登場したブレイド、ロキ、そしてデッドプールという個性的な3人がチームに加わり、新たにストーリーを彩ります。ここも楽しみにお待ちください。
Go, bro.
This is a really unique team consisting of the
No, that
newly
team is
announced
hard,
characters,
bro.
Deadpool, Loki, and Blade. And please look forward to learning more about their team
Is it a
and the
different
story.
voice actor? Is it not Gabe for
はい、
Blade?
そしてですね、次は
I don't think it's
キ
Gabe.
ャラクターの
I
紹
didn't get to hear it
介を
well.
簡単に、させていただきたいと思います。
Next, I'd like to quickly introduce each character.
はい、ブレイドは、今見た通り
fucking
刀と、
go.
マシンガン、そしてグレードといったさまざまな武器の扱いに長けた
Yes.
攻撃的なキャラクターとなります。
You can see Blade fighting with his katana, his machine
No, you're
gun, his
fucked.
whole arsenal
I'm
of
fucked.
weapons.
You're
So
fucked.
he's a master
You're
of a
fucked,
variety
Unc.
of armaments.
You're done, bro.
はい、そ
Count
し
your
て
damn
ロキはですね、
days.
数々のス
Count
キ
your
ルに、
days, Unc.
幻影や分身といったフェイント技を多く持っ
Count
て
your
いて、
damn days,
いた
Unc.
ずら好きな彼らしい
You don't got
戦い
much
方
time
をする
left on this
キャラクターになっ
planet,
ています
Unc.
And Loki specializes in a tricky style of fighting.
fucking
Each of his
go.
skills can be used in different ways to trick the enemy with feints.
And die, it's over.
はい、そして最後にデッドプールですが、今
You don't
ここ
got
にいる
much time
有識者
left
の
on
皆
this
さんは
planet,
結構
Unc.
お気づきの
Count
方
your
も多いと思うん
damn
です
days.
が、 彼は
Say your
今回
goodbyes.
第4の壁を乗り越え伝説のゲーム雑誌を手に入れ数
Loki
々
game
の
show? What do you
素晴ら
say?
しい技を引っ提げて闘魂の舞台を引っかき回します。
And as you can see, Deadpool's here to break the fourth wall, and maybe you've already recognized some of the legendary moves that he references.
Loki, yo, when I saw Cap, I was like,
はい
oh no. What
え
the hell is
この辺
this?
の情報はですね
But I forgot
また
Loki
後日
can turn into
お伝え
people.
するので楽しみ
I should have
に
known.
お待ちください。
Damn,
続いては
Loki
オープンベータの情報にな
That
りま
was
す。
not on my list.
And we'll have more details coming, so definitely keep an eye out.
A
Next, I'd
PC
like
open
to
beta,
cover
let's
the open
go.
beta.
はい、オープンベータは、来
on
月
PC.
7月の
That's bold.
24日から
But it's only like a week or two before launch, so.
PS5 そして並びに
Wait, but
ブレード
that
が今
open beta is
見せてくれ
during
たように
Avatar launch, no?
PC でも開催します。もちろん
Wait.
PS5
Wait, wait,
PC
wait.
で対戦ができます。
The open beta is coming up next month on July 24th to 26th for 3 days. And as you can see, it will be available for both, not
Wait,
only
wait,
for
wait,
PlayStation
wait,
5,
what?
but also for PC.
No,
and of course,
this
you'll
is-
be able to have
no,
matches
Avatar
between
launches
PC
July
and
23rd.
PS5 players.
This beta is July 24th. Dude.
はい、
Bro,
Never-
oh my god.
OK
Oh man.
はい
Why?
詳しい情報はですねまた追って伝えるので、はい続報をお待ち
Dude,
くだ
if
さい。
Avatar didn't get
And we'll have more
delayed.
information available later on the official website.
Because
はい、
fucking
そして
Avatar got
来週
delayed. Only the game
ロ
didn't
サ
get
ンゼル
delayed.
スダウンタウンで行われますアニメエクスポにも、出展が、ブース出展が決定しま
If
した
only Avatar
And
didn't
we're
get
also
delayed,
excited to share
bro.
that Marvel Tōkon will be available at Anime Expo happening
I'm about to
next
play
week
Blade
in
in
downtown
both
Los
games.
は
Angeles.
い、ありがとうございます
Let's
はい
fucking go,
まあ
bro.
今回ラスベガスまで来れなかった方、このラスベガスエボバージョンと同じバージョンが遊べるようになってますのでぜひアニメエクスポの方にもお越しくださいよろしくお願いします
So for anyone who couldn't make it out to join us here in Vegas this weekend, you'll be able to play the same version of the game that's available at Evo Vegas there at Anime Expo. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Thank you 改めまして、マーベル闘魂ファイティングソウルズ、アメリカでは8月6日発売となります。
That team was not what I expected.
どちらでも結構です。
It wasn't.
本日予約して帰ってください。
And Marvel Tōkon is
This is
coming
what I
out
wrote.
on August 6th for
Well,
both PlayStation
oh,
and
it was
PC.
closer to the first team
so
that I
don't
wrote.
forget to place your pre-order.
Wait, so I was right. Daredevil's DLC. I was right. Daredevil's too
はい
good of a character to have
そ
on
してで
base
す
launch.
ねこれからもキャラクターのディープタイプ動画など
Loki
続々情報を出していくので、
Loki, wow.
はい皆さん
Not
オ
what
ープ
I
ンベータで
expected.
お待ちしております。
I
We
mean, it
have
was
a
an
lot more
obvious fake out.
excitement coming for you, especially the upcoming deep dive videos for cover the rest of the characters. So I hope to see all of you playing in the open beta.
はい、我々アークシステムワークス、マーベル闘魂チームは、FGC の皆さんと一緒にこのゲームを盛り上げていきたいと思います。皆さんの力が必要です。ぜひこれからも応援をよろしくお願いします。本日はありがとうございました。
The Marvel team, I can speak for all of the Marvel Tōkon team to say that we're hoping to continue creating a lot of excitement for the FGC, and it's all thanks to your support.
Wow, bro. That's fucking crazy, bro. Yeah, hopefully this game doesn't do him dirty like Rivals did.
Yo, you guys gotta get louder than that.
Nah,
for
that
Marvel
shit was
Tōkon,
crazy,
I
bro.
saw some stuff on the
Nah, that
side
trailer was
that I
hard.
ain't never seen in my life.
That trailer was hard, bro.
I ain't never
I gotta
seen it in my
rewatch that
life.
shit. Nah,
All right.
him cutting the fucking closed beta into being open beta was hard. That shit, nah, that shit was sick. That shit was too sick.
But before that, we're gonna cut to a quick break, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
That shit was
You
too
will
sick.
miss Street Fighter 6 Top 8 coming up next. See you soon.
Perfect time for them to do an ad break. Okay, I'm looking at that trailer again. Nah, that shit was too sick. That was way too fucking sick. That was too fucking sick, bro.
Allow me to introduce your glory.
Before I even go over this, dude, I was close. Ghost Rider, Blade. I knew Blade was a guarantee. There's just no way we don't drop with Blade. Like, I'm gonna just say it. The game does not have enough black characters. That's why I kind of felt like Blade is gonna be a character. But besides that, even though we saw that comic of like what was it, Daredevil and what was it, Daredevil and Moon Knight, I think those were gonna be DLC. I instantly thought Daredevil would be DLC. This was what the comic team was in the issue chapter thingy, if you guys didn't see the picture. But like I this was just too good to be true. This is too good of a team to be true. Like, and also I don't know, I figured it wouldn't be real because it has no girls on it. I feel like at least the last team would have like at least a girl, because there's not that much girls on this game. But shit, the team still doesn't have any girls. But I mean, I guess you count Loki. He's like gender fluid, but whatever. Regardless, let's look at this trailer again. I was one off. I was one off. No, I don't think anyone would have expected Loki.
Unbreakable X-Men.
Who would have expected Loki?
The Amazing Guardians.
But yeah, like every team has like one girl on it except the Doctor Doom's team.
Unbreakable X-Men.
Okay, well this team has 3 girls, but still. How much characters are we on launch? Let's look at this again.
The Fighting Avengers.
It's 1.
The Unbreakable X-Men.
2, 3, 4.
The Amazing Guardians. The Knights
5, 6.
of Doom.
There's only 6 girls in the game.
And
There's only 6 girls in this. I thought there was more.
You mess with the Ghost Rider, you'll end up
As a ghost.
You'll no more. Hey, Vamp, how about some help here?
I'll make this quick. Show me how much monster you've got. Don't blink.
It's not the same voice actor. It's not Gabe. It's a different voice actor. Imari Williams. It's not Gabe.
You've got. Don't blink. Yeah, take this. Got you. Weapon's hot.
They already did him better. He has a fucking Uzi in this game instead of that weak ass rival shotgun. Instead of that weak ass rival shot. Oh my god, he's already better than Rivals Blade. He's already better. He's already better. Already. He's already fucking better. He's already better.
Nothing stops the Muramasa blade. Close your eyes. It's over.
They say I'm a legend.
But I am also a god.
So easily tricked. I've saved Asgard more times than I have threatened it. Honestly. No, really.
What's Loki doing?
You
He's
dislike
gonna
my
mix up
prattling
tricky,
tongue,
annoying character.
beast. You will not survive.
Wait, did you take Ghost Rider? Oh no, that's
Ragnarok. Whoa! Rage quitting is the ultimate fighting game sin. Let me check out some strats. And now time resumes. It's me, the FGC's favorite.
Nolan North.
This pose.
Lock it up, Wade.
I love it.
Did he stab himself to...
C's favorite. How's this pose?
Isn't that Jacko's?
Lock it up, Wade.
What the? He stabs himself to hit
I
Wolf.
love it when you threaten me.
What is that? What is he tethering? What the fuck? Is this fucking yarn or some shit? What is that?
How's this pose?
Lock it up, Wade.
I love it when you threaten
What is that? It's like a fucking rope.
me.
His guts? His intestine? Oh, look at that. Do you see the detailing? Look at that. The fire is like...
Wade.
I love it when you threaten me. Roasty!
It's like a Deadpool explosion thingy.
Hey, chat, somebody clip that.
Let's reflect.
So elegant. Random bullshit go.
I do wish they were with Saab or Yu. I wish they did, because his voice is it's just too fucking, it fits the character so well. Hearing him in Rivals, but whatever.
Deadpool's assemble. Deadpool Corps.
Hey, Chad. List.
Wait. There's something else we should do. I remember.
But it's probably drawing me.
The Midnight Samurai Outriders.
No one's more OG, yeah.
Oh, we're cooking.
Wait, so it's
Samurai.
not Midnight Suns. It's
We should
Samurai.
do- I remember.
Enter.
The Midnight
Because everyone thought it was Midnight Suns. Because why would it not be Midnight Suns?
Samurai Outriders. Oh, we're cooking now. T-E-A-M, get 'em!
Time to step out of the shadows.
One does not cross a frost giant.
Everyone, get
One
ready.
does not trust a frost giant.
You're gonna feel this.
Rest in peace.
All out attack.
The power of Jotunheim.
Hell is coming for you.
Holy shit. Hell is coming for you. Oh, fuck.
Nah, this isn't it.
Nah, this isn't it.
Nah, this isn't it.
That shit was hard.
You need more practice.
You need more practice, chat. Nah, this isn't it. Nah, that shit was hard, bro. You can't tell me Blade ain't sick in this game. We do. Shit, we do. I'll take it. We fucking do. We fucking do, bro. Okay, let me look at this shit frame by frame.
Rider, you'll end up
As a ghost.
Nah, you need more practice.
Hey, Vamp, how about some help here?
Oh, shit.
Make this quick.
Yo, this shit is hard, bro. Oh my god. Nah, you can't tell me this character ain't sick, bro. Blade is confirmed for the beta? They just tweet that? Oh my god. Let's go. Wait, who else is gonna be in it? I want to play Magic as well. Wait, who else though? We need more. We need more. Bro, what? Who else is gonna be in it? No, they didn't say anything. Because there's no way we just get the same character as last beta, but just with Blade. That'd be kind of ah. But whatever.
Show me how much monster you've got.
We need more characters. That we need to at least get like the. I'm assuming it's gonna be like the Evo build. It's gonna be like at least with Blade, and then like what? It's gonna have Wolverine, Magic. Who else? I'm missing someone. I don't know. We'll see.
Don't blink.
I don't think Carnage would be there though.
This. Gotcha.
Wait, so what does he do right here?
Don't blink.
What does he throw? Looks like a rope and a like. What is that? It's like needles or something.
Don't blink.
It stuns you for so long.
Yeah, take this. Gotcha.
Whoa! What is he? What is that thing he's spinning? Is that a dagger? Oh yeah, it is. It's like a little, metal stakes or some shit like that. That's like the little dual dagger thing or whatever the fuck it's called. I forgot what it's called.
Weapons hot. Don't blink. Yeah, take this. Gotcha.
He just teleports behind him. Damn.
Nothing stops the Muramasa blade.
The Muramasa blade.
Close your eyes.
Oh my god. Yo, this shit is hard, bro. This shit is hard, bro. This is thumbnail worthy, bro. Look at this. This shit is thumbnail worthy.
It's over.
They say I'm a
It's over.
Close your eyes. It's over.
Nah, bro. Yo, why did they make him so cool in this game? In fucking Rivals, my man's a fucking bot. My man's a bot in Rivals. An absolute bot in Rivals, bro. Why did they go so hard? Rivals gotta be racist. There's no way. Bro, he's crazy in this game. He's actually ridiculous in this game.
They say I'm a legend.
But I am also a god.
Loki
So
looks
easily
sick, too.
tricked. I am also
He
a
does
god.
this.
So
I was a fake Loki.
easily tricked.
Or a counter.
I've saved
New stage.
Asgard more
Asgard.
times than I have threatened it. Honestly. No, really.
Okay. What are these projectiles? What the fuck?
You dislike my prattling tongue.
Oh, he's
beast.
one of those characters. What's that flame sword?
You
That shit
dislike
looks
my
sick.
prattling tongue.
He freezes you. Dives with like some flame sword thingy.
You will not survive.
Is it like stances?
My
Wait, so I
tongue beast.
Beauty God.
think he does have stances or something.
You dislike my
Because there's a different weapon in his left hand.
prattling tongue.
Oh, maybe I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Beast,
It's hard to
you
tell.
will not survive. My
Maybe not.
Whoa!
Rage quitting is
I think
the
he is a
ultimate
stance
fighting.
character though, kind of like Sandalphon. I think he has like different stances. Like now Sandalphon and Grand Blue has like Earth. What he had? Fire, water, and what else did he have? I think light.
Game sent. Let me check out some strats. And now time resumes. It's me.
What the fuck is this throw, bro?
My
This throw is ridiculous.
Rage
The
quitting
Johnny
is the
Cage
ultimate
nut punch,
fighting game
yeah.
sent. Let me check out some strats. And now time resumes. It's
Son. Yo, why? Bro, what the fuck?
me, the FGC's favorite. How's this?
Main me, it says. Jacko's pose.
I
Stabs himself.
love it when you threaten me. Roasty.
What did he just say at the bottom right?
Me, the FGC's
Toasty.
favorite. How's this pose?
Lock it up, Wade.
I love it when you
When he does
threaten
his
me.
fire thing? Oh my goodness, bro.
Hey, chat. Somebody clip.
Nice reflex. What are these animations? What the fuck was that? What the fuck is this? He looks like an unfinished ass character, but what the fuck is this character, bro? He had grenades. He just self-explodes.
Random.
Oh my god, was that really Dr. Doom's foot dive?
Random bullshit go.
Random bullshit go.
Assemble.
Where the fuck did Gwenpool come from?
Random bullshit go.
Is that a dolphin or what? What the fuck am I looking at? Oh my god! Why does he have Totsugeki? He has Totsugeki, bro.
Deadpool.
What the hell? Son, what is this game?
Wait. There's something else we should do. I remember.
Enter the Midnight
Samurai Outriders.
The Samurai Outriders.
Oh, we're cooking now. T-E-A-M. Get him.
Time to step out of the shadows.
One does
What
not.
was that? It was like a bomb? Who did that? Oh, it was Deadpool. He throws like a zombie head bomb and a Molotov.
Time to
Is that Jinx's bomb? He combined both of them. He can combine the bombs. Look at the fucking the zombie is carrying the Molotov.
step out of the shadows.
Loki has his little ice axe.
A frost strike.
Everyone, get ready.
Loki looks really good in this game. He actually looks really cool. Look at his model. We haven't looked at his model that much. They made him handsome as shit. He looks like an anime character. Why they make him so handsome? Wow.
You're gonna feel this.
Rest in peace.
Yo. Rest in peace. Oh, we can't see the rest of it. Fix Blade's hairline. Son. What the fuck is this? What? That is so much bullshit.
The power of Jotunheim.
Hell is coming for you.
Hell is coming for you. Damn, you doing this on fucking Magic? That's fucked up. On Magic is fucked up. Doing that on Magic is fucked up.
Nah, this isn't it. You need more practice.
What a great day of gaming. That's peak, bro. That's fucking peak, bro. That's fucking peak. That's fucking peak. Are they showing another Street Fighter trailer for the movie? Unless we've seen this already. Oh man, what a great day of gaming. So yeah, I was one off. I didn't think it would be Loki. Oops, I went off for my first prediction. I didn't think it would be Loki. I thought it was gonna be a girl. Gwenpool. Okay, I was close. Moon Knight was one. Yeah, I was one off. This was just the comic team. I didn't think it would be the comic. I think spoiling that would have been like, I don't know.
Everyone keeps going on about your thighs.